Hi there, my fellow knife nerds. I've got something for you today. Well, you saw it on the thumbnail. I've got a package from TSPROF, and they sent these to me. Disclaimer right out the gate, I did not buy this. This is not a budget video. This is a special video, and it's targeted for guys who really are into sharpening. You're not going to want to get these for your first, if you're a brand new knife guy, you're just getting into sharpening, unless you're wealthy, then maybe you'll do this. But for most people, this is not going to be something you're going to get. This is their TSPROF Alpha N series. Now, their Alpha series of stones has been out for a little while. The Alpha N is their narrow. So for tiny knives and for recurve knives is what the N series is for. So without any further ado, let's get over to the tabletop. I'll unbox this. I haven't even taken the rubber band off yet. We'll take a look at these. Okay, so these were shipped in a bag, bigger Ziploc bag, but this is the contents right here. Let's take that off. They wrap them individually because, you don't want to contaminate the stones between each other because they got different grits. These are industrial diamond stones. So let's see what we got here. This is the 120. Now there are loads of different grit standards. This is the mesh grit standard. 120 grit, which is 125 to 100 microns. 180, which is 80 to 63 microns. Blah, blah, blah. All the way up to 11,000, which is 2 to 1 microns. That is super polishy. These are 12 millimeters wide. What's that in inches? It's half an inch. It's the standard size for length and half size for thickness. Narrow, again, it's for doing recurves. So they have chamfered this edge on both edges, so there's not a sharp, crisp edge there, so that it can go onto recurve blades. These are resin bonded stones. Get it focus again. These are resin bonded stones, which means they are the same all the way through. You're not going to wear these down though. Like, a lot of stones, the traditional stones, silicon carbide stones, whatever, they're going to wear down quite quickly, really. They're going to last a lifetime of hard, regular use. Somebody who sharpens weekly with these, they're still going to last a lifetime. It's just the way it is. These are very much construction like the Veneve stones, except for these seem to be solid all the way through, whereas the Veneve stones have about a millimeter thickness of material. This is all homogeneous all the way through to the aluminum plate. $370 for this set, US dollars. So that's part of why I was saying this is not for the novice sharpener. This is for, well, if there's novice here and expert sharpener here, go to the halfway point and you have to be in the upper half between, you're already 50% past novice to expert. Those guys and gals, that's who these are really targeted for. So let's take this and start testing already. Here is the Alpha N series. After my testing, I've done a lot of testing with these. These stones are good for steels, knife steels up to 70 Rockwell on the C scale. It worked good for some harder steels. This isn't super hard. This is Nitro V. I've even sharpened this little, this is a Classic SD from Victorinox. And that's a fairly soft steel, and it sharpens them really well. So these stones, they are very good for small knives. If you like to sharpen small itty-bitty knives, these are really, really good for that. They do have a little bit of a broken shoulder. Most stones, for most manufacturers, for most sharpening applications, they have a crisp corner right there. So if you're looking at it on the end, there's an angle on the edge and an angle on the edge, but most of it's flat. So that helps the edge not to dig in when you're sharpening a recurve. So you got a recurve blade like this, and you've got that deep curve right in there. You don't want to be digging into two spots on the edge. You know, this is not a how-to video. I will be publishing a how-to sharpen recurve video soon. Maybe according to my definition of soon, but we'll see. Hopefully quite soon. So this isn't a how-to on how to do that, but it's easy to do a bad job of it, but it's harder to do a bad job of it when the edges are sort of chamfered off because you don't have that crisp corner like you do with other brand stones. Here's my Chaucera. They've got a fairly crisp edge on them. I've used these to sharpen recurves. I've used these stones. These have got a sharp corner on them. They're the same dimensions otherwise than your Alpha N stones. These are boride stones. This is the CS-HD series, which I quite like. They're for soft, well, not for super soft. They do hard steels as well. These are much more consumable than these. Like, you'll eat these up in a hurry and you have to buy more. And then you'll wear them down and you'll have to buy more. Certainly you can reflatten them and everything. I've also used Veneve's narrow squared off stones. These are a little bit wider than these Alpha stones, and that's not necessarily a good thing for recurves. This is good for small knives, but that crisp edge isn't that great. But there's an older series of Veneve stones that I've used. That's these, and these have got sort of a crown to them the way they're made. So these are good for recurves. These don't cut quite as fast, quite as efficiently as these Alpha stones in my experience. So I've used a lot of different stones for sharpening. So like, here's 4 different types I've used for sharpening tiny knives and recurves. And this is another one that I've tried now. I really like these and I recommend them without any reservation. They cut really well and they hold up really well. They're durable. Now, these are designed to be used, TSPROF suggests that you use honing oil or sharpening oil with these stones. I use them with sharpening oil and they work really, really well. I've also used these using my classic method, that's using warm soapy water. It doesn't have to be warm, but soapy water in a spray ball and I spray it down. Using soapy water when you're sharpening is messy. It just is. I don't mind that. I prepare for that. I put on an old pair of coveralls so I don't get my jeans and my shirt all dirty. And I do the wet, messy method. It's very cheap. Honing oil is not expensive, but I'll just say, I prefer using the soapy water method over the honing oil. That's just the way I do it. Both work just fine. Don't use these just dry. I don't recommend that. You do want to use, either oil or soapy water. Otherwise, you're getting the dust from the resin and the fine metal dust. It gets in the air and gets in your lungs. That's not good. So wet is the best way to use these. And they just work. I'm not going to do a demonstration like I told you. I'll do a how-to video on how to sharpen a recurve. And I think I'll probably do it using these Alpha stones because, well, I've got them and I really, really like them and they're very, very useful for that. They are a little bit expensive. That's just the way it is. So if you're not in the price market for these, that's fine. Don't get them. If you want to do, if you just can't, get some of these narrow boride stones. Hopefully Gritomatic still has them. I don't know if the narrow stones are on the TSPROF's website or not. Wherever I find them, I'll leave links down below for that as well. But if you're not in the lower cost market, if you are willing and ready to spend more money, I suggest these with no reservations whatsoever. Little knives and recurve knives, and especially if you've got little knives that have recurves, then this is the system you want. I did them with the Cadet. I used them with the Blitz. I've used them with my K03. And once I'm ready to do the review of the Pioneer, I'll use them with the Pioneer as well. That video should be coming out later this spring. Hopefully not too much later. So there you go. The Alpha Stones, the Alpha N series from TSPROF. Check them out. You can use my links down below to make it easy for you to find them for the European store, the store based in the United States, and the store in Russia. Thank you so very much for watching this. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb.